Hi everybody, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about mental health. So on my previous video, I talked about pain, suffering, anxiety, and just lightly touched on mental health, but didn't have time to really talk about it. So if you want to watch that previous video, it is the video before this one. You can go back and watch that one where I discussed a little bit about my anxiety and things like that, but more focusing on the pain and suffering that comes along with physical pain. So this is more of the mental component of it, mental suffering, mental health, that sort of thing. So in that previous video, you can go back and watch it, but I will just briefly summarize what I talked about as far as anxiety. Anxiety is something that I've kind of dealt with my whole life. I can remember having anxiety even as a child, but I mostly just managed myself, and then later in my adult life I started to notice it more, and then I had a car accident and developed some panic attacks, and my anxiety heightened, and at that point I had to get on medicine. So I took medicine for anxiety, for generalized anxiety, and then I also had another medicine for panic attacks that I took only, when there was a panic attack. So I was on that medicine for almost 5 years, and then I had this seeing, and a lot of things relaxed. And what happens with this seeing of that there's no self, what we call non-duality, which is not really anything at all, but it's just a label. Anxiety is one of those mental health issues that really just kind of goes away. You still have some anxiety here and there, but it definitely doesn't last, and it's not so intense. Anxiety is kind of projecting your fears or ideas of what's going to happen in the future. So when there's no self or sense of time, there's really no anxiety to be had. But I can tell you that I have had 2 episodes of anxiety since this seeing, so it definitely can still occur. And I'm kind of glad that I did have that, to have this understanding, because for a long time I didn't have any anxiety, and I thought maybe this is just something that kind of cures, mental health issues, which is not the case. So I had anxiety before a party, just get anxious, and the anxiety that I was feeling was more physical anxiety. So the rapid heartbeat, the tightness in the chest, the maybe a headache, I don't remember. Sometimes I would even get a little bit dizzy. So I was having the physical symptoms of anxiety, mostly the rapid heartbeat that was telling me, oh, you're nervous, and then just feeling tense, right? So I noticed that I definitely did have anxiety after that seeing, but it was not like it was before. Before, it could be lasting all day long, it could last the next day, and even a week. It could last a month or more, it just really depended. But in this case, the anxiety lasted about, let's say, an hour at the most. So I had the physical symptoms of anxiety, and I was anxious. Okay, we just had a little happening, somebody knocking on the door. Anyway, so the anxiety that I was having was very much physical, and I can remember in my past my anxiety being physical but also mental, in the fact that I would think, oh my gosh, like, am I always going to have anxiety forever? Am I even going to be able to go to this party? Are people going to notice? I'm no good because I can't do what normal people do without getting anxiety. So it would be a lot more mental chatter that would kind of make the anxiety worse and prolong it. And even after the event had happened that was making me anxious, I would still be anxious of the fact that I had anxiety and just kind of fearing that it would come back. So it was kind of a vicious cycle with anxiety, but as soon as everything was seen for what it was, that there is no self, there is nobody else, there's just nothing for anxiety to really hang on to. It becomes more of a physical reaction to things, and it might be a condition thing. Like I said, I had anxiety all my life. So some certain things I think can just kind of get me having that rapid heart rate and things like that. And then I have that feeling that was very similar to the anxiety I had before. But it's a lot lighter and doesn't last very long. So I've had 2 episodes of that where in my past I would have had anxiety several times a week, and possibly a panic attack once a month or something like that. So mental health doesn't just encompass anxiety. I mean, there's all kinds of mental health disorders. My background is in psychology, counseling, education, all of that. So I am very well versed in mental health. And I take it very seriously as well. Even after the seeing, it's seen that it could still be happening with certain people. And if that is the case, there is nothing wrong with that. That is just what's happening. There's nothing really wrong with having a mental health disorder or not having a mental health disorder. It's just what's happening. And you're not controlling it. There's nothing that can be done about it. It's just what is. So there's no reason to hold any shame, guilt, or anything. And there's a saying that there is no other. So there's no comparisons of, oh, I have to be on medicine, or I have depression and they don't, and so there's no comparison either. So a lot of things really relax. But of course there are things like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, many other disorders that, for example, OCD, it can really be disruptive to somebody's life. But with this seeing, it kind of relaxes. Does it just go away? In my case, it has not. I've said, I've had anxiety. And anxiety is also a natural thing to kind of warn us of dangers and things like that. But the 2 times I did have anxiety, there was no danger. It was just going to Walmart for shopping and then going to a party that I myself had set up. So when you're having anxiety over things that are not scary, or there's no reason to be heightened, then that's where it's a problem. Not a problem in that it's right or wrong, just a discomfort there, that this isn't what should be happening. But the truth is that it is what's happening, and it's completely okay, and it's accepted. There is no stigma if you have any of these disorders. It is completely okay. There is nothing to hide, to be ashamed of. If you find that your anxiety or any mental health issue is, becoming a problem for you to function in this world, in this life, there is no problem with seeking mental health. There's plenty of professionals, including myself, that treat mental health disorders, either with talk therapy or with medicine, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Whatever you choose to do as far as taking care of yourself or not taking care of yourself is completely accepted. There is nothing wrong with you. There never has been. Everything is accepted and okay. There are things that we can gravitate to or resonate with more that will be more helpful to certain mental health disorders, possibly. For example, when I was having anxiety in my past for those 5 years, I took all of these pills. So I still save them in this box. That was what I took. I had one for anxiety, one for panic attacks, one for high blood pressure, and one for sleeping. And all of those I found out were correlating with anxiety, because as soon as I had the seeing and everything relaxed, I didn't have any of those 3 disorders. So my anxiety went away, my panic attacks went away, I was able to sleep fine, and my blood pressure got under control. So all of those 4 medicines were linked to anxiety. But let's say that I start having anxiety again, and I'm not feeling that great, and I'm not able to function the way that I used to, or something like that. There is absolutely no problem with me going back to the doctor or me picking up these pills and taking them again. That is what happens, and it is completely okay. Whatever happens, it couldn't be any other way. So it is what it is. And so I just encourage you, in whatever situation that you're in as far as mental health, do what you feel is right for you. Of course, nobody's doing it, which is why everything is okay and accepted. You're held, you're taken care of, everything is in control. It couldn't really ever be any other way. So there's no stigma here for mental health. And non-duality is not an answer to mental health. It doesn't cure any disorders or anything. I mentioned my particular story that I got off of these medicines because of it. But that's not to say that I won't get back on them. It's not to say that something might not happen in my life that will require me to be on those medicines again. So anything can appear. Anything can happen. There is no one that's in control of that. So there's freedom in that. Everything is okay. No matter what anybody's told you, even if somebody's told you that you're crazy, that you need help, whatever you choose to do is okay. If you do need mental health and you want to set up a one-on-one session, I do still do counseling. I also do what I'm trying to kind of move towards now is one-on-one sessions to point towards the non-duality and help in that way, if this is resonating with you, to point to the truth. So sessions for that as well. I'm trying to, my background is in psychology. I've gone to school for many years, different trainings and things. But since my seeing, some of the things in psychology just don't align with my, with this sense of real reality that I have now. So I'm studying transpersonal psychology as well. So this is something that I really think is important, regardless of if everything is seen for what it is. I think that mental health services will always exist, because whether or not, you know, we believe that we're choosing to go get mental health or do this or that, the truth is we've never chosen anything. We've never chosen our mental health. We've never chosen how we treat our mental health. You know, if you're self-medicating, any of that stuff, there is nothing right or wrong about it. It's just what's happening. You're not really choosing to do it. It's just what's happening. So watching these videos, doing these things, when things resonate and you kind of go on a certain other path and maybe seek help, it's just what's happening. It wasn't really, there's no real cause and effect. Everything is just its own moment, and everything's just happening at once. And I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about mental health in that way. I find that a lot of these topics, there's not a whole lot more to say, because all that there is what's happening, and it's completely okay. It's completely accepted. There's nothing right or wrong about it. And there's never really been anything wrong with you. If anything, the truth is there is no you. So there's a lot of freedom there. I know it sounds scary and probably really confining, but actually there's a lot of freedom there. So I invite you to schedule a one-on-one session with me if you would like, if you need. I have my information always in the description box of how you can do that. And thank you for watching.